Morning. You're watching this. It's got to mean this. I couldn't have said it better myself. Where are you to today, by you ask? Well, look on the map. I like to do that. Sometimes I actually show you on the map as well. It's like that's quite a good feature, isn't it? I'm actually in Paignton, but today I'm going to do a bit of walking. So let's get walking, and I'll tell you all about it. I'm in Paignton, and I've just dropped my car in for a service. So I've got like maybe 2.5 hours to kill, because cars, they don't service themselves, do they, folks? And those guys will be playing with all sorts of things. They'll be adjusting gubbins, and they'll be tinkering nodules to get that car serviced. So it's going to take them a little while. If any of you guys want to learn how to service things such as push bikes, please click above and you'll see how to service and change a bike chain. Yeah, quite a nice link there. It is Paignton rush hour, can you believe that? You never thought you'd imagine me saying that today on a paddleboarding video. But I'm traipsing along, it feels like a traipse, you know. I'm traipsing along on the road towards Brixton at the moment. I'll show you on the map where we are. I've got to go up a blooming hill. Whose idea was this? Is this yours? We go onwards, but it will all be worth it, surely. Finally, folks, give it up to Dave Beaver, by the way. That's right, it's Beaver's Bites. Dave Beaver, that, a friend of mine. On we go towards, we'll go down Barn Road. Some of you eagle-eyed will have actually checked out on the map where we are, and some of you would have been therefore ahead of me for once, because you're not very often ahead of me, are you? Well, I've had a sneaky peeky look to find out the name of the cove we're going to, and it's Oyster Cove. That's right, we're going to Oyster Cove. I now got a glimpse of the sea, and walk on a bit and just give you that really good glimpse of the sea. Here we are, folks. Yeah, just above Oyster Cove. There's still a couple of cruise ships in the bay, as you can no doubt see, and there's also a couple of massive container ships out there. There's a little bit of cross chop coming through, little tiny bit of wind coming in from the south, so this is why I walked all this way to turn around and then come back towards Hollicombe, sometimes referred to as gasworks. That's where I'm heading. I don't think it would take me very long to get over there, but of course one thing I do have to do is pump the old board up, which I have to walk in for about, I don't know, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. I'm blowing a little bit. I'm not at a resting state. So here we are. Oh, Saltern Cove and Waterside Cove. I'm not at blooming Oyster Cove, I'm at Saltern Cove. Wish you guys would pay attention a bit more and tell me which cove I'm going to. I mean, I could have ended up anywhere. I could have ended up in Anvil Cove or even Border Cove if you guys are in charge, but we're in Saltern Cove apparently. Let's get down and have a look. Board all pumped up. We are actually, as you can see on the map, we're actually at Oyster Cove, so tide is low. Bit pushing tide, I think. I haven't checked the tides, that's a bit schoolboy, but it doesn't really affect you too much other than access and egress to the water when you're in the bay. Wind going across, flip that camera around. So wind going from right to left, and I'm going from right to left when I get on the paddleboard, and I'll be heading out that way. So a bit of planning on direction will make the paddle so much easier. There it is, folks, all laden up, but I've got to get over and through the rocks onto that bit. I forgot the GoPro mount, because this one hasn't got a GoPro mount, so I've somehow nestled the GoPro on there, and I've got to lift it up. It'll be out of balance now. We got 3.5 kilometers to go. So what's that, 2 3/4 miles? Better get out there.
In from a Hamburg strip, the taste of Düsseldorf still on our lips.
So here we are, folks, out in the bay, and we've set off from over there from Oyster Cove, and it's a lot choppier out here than I originally thought it would be. Now I did check Windy, and Windy did say it's a 15-mile-an-hour breeze heading from the south, and it's exactly right. But I was deliberating because I checked on various webcams around the bay and it looked relatively calm out here, so I was thinking I could go from Hollicombe to Goodrington. But you know, if you see the chop coming through here, you would see that would have been an impossible task in this board in particular. It's a round nose board on the front. It's not the most rigid of board and it wouldn't have handled it, to be frank, but with the wind in my back, it's kind of quite nice, because if I'm honest, if I just want to have a break and just have a breather for 5 minutes, well, the wind will just push me home. It's like taking me all the way. Now, it does make paddling a little bit more tricky. So, because you've got these waves, there's the surface chop, and there's also the roll of the sort of more sort of groundswell waves coming through as well. So you're getting a sort of combination of waves. So, bent knees a little bit, all that sort of good stuff makes it a lot easier. But it's just to keep on your toes. Now, some people will say, come on Steve, you should wear a personal flotation device. Now, I've never worn one when I've been surfing. I'm probably about a couple of 100 yards off coast, so if push came to shove, I could swim that without any bother. I'm a strong swimmer, but I would suggest that anyone who is not a strong swimmer, anyone who is unsure, if in doubt, put a PDF on. PFD. Don't put a PDF on, that's made out of paper. It's just gonna, if you print it, it's just gonna go turn to mush. Don't do it. So, you know, it's all about thinking before you have your trip and then taking your own responsibility for your personal safety. So I would say the most important thing is think about it, plan it, make sure you've got all the gear you need with you, and then go out and enjoy your paddleboarding. Okay? It's like anything in life, isn't it? When you go for a cycle and go for a walk with paddleboarding, you're on the ocean, or potentially you've got to be a little bit more mindful of that and be a bit more respectful to it. Anyway, let's have a look around. Roundham Head ahead of us, which is good. Those beach huts there at Goodrington. We're going to head on and see if we can get around Roundham Head, and then from Roundham Head, don't cut in towards Fairy Cove, because if you do, there's a reef there and there's an old remains of what would have been a jetty at some stage, so stay well clear of that. Head a wide berth towards the pier. On we go.
There is a friend of mine. We go way back to the scene of the crime. We sit up front and share a cigarette and try to remember what we tried to forget. He said, do you remember? He said, do you recall? I say, yeah, I remember. Oh, I remember it all. Every time that cold wind blows, every time I hear the sound, late night train shunning down by the river, I remember windy town.
So here we are, folks, coming around Roundham Head now, looking in at Paignton Harbour. Across there, let's zoom in a little bit. There, let's zoom in a bit more. There, if I can keep it still, is the reef I was on about. So if you are paddleboarding in around this area, everything to the left of that reef can be a little bit dodgy, because there's the remains of an old jetty coming out inside that, so be really mindful of that. Just be careful of that. Just a minute, there's a guy in there with a snorkel and mask on. What a great place to go. That's lovely. And coming across now is a cormorant just nipping past us. So when you are out here, folks, there's a big marker buoy here, so it's probably worth just going around that one because you can see it in front of me now. It's like a tower sticking up. So go around that one, you'll be nice and safe. That was a guy in there snorkeling, and as you can see in Ferry Cove in there, it's really still, so it's quite tempting to want to go in there, but I would just say don't go in there, folks. There could be some hazards under the water. I'd say sit on the beach at Ferry Cove, but don't paddle in Ferry Cove. I'll just leave it unless you really do suss it and you are really familiar with it. Anyway, on we go. See the chop coming in there, folks? It did catch me out then, and I've been in the drink. What on earth? So I've been sat down on my knees talking to the bloke from the garage, and then of course your knees go numb, your legs go numb, you stand up eventually after chatting to the guy for 10 minutes, knees are all numb, get up, one stroke, wall up, and I'm in. Hat's still dry-ish. It just goes to show, you know, you can fall in. I didn't fall in, believe it or not, I didn't fall in for 9 months. I'm going to need to go in for a proper swim, I think. There's no point in just falling in, is there? I'm going to go underwater now. Let's see what it looks like down there. Let's do it.
We come so far and we move so fast, making hay, see it all go past. Round the world and round again, up and down on that gravy train. But every time that cold wind blows, every time I hear the sound, East Coast crosswinds on a cold wet stone, I remember windy town. Oh, windy town.
Cracking swim. Saw flatfish. Saw flatfish then. Can you believe that? Saw flatfish. Don't get that. Don't get that on any other shows, folks. That there's Preston Sands behind me. And over there is Hollicombe. Let's flip that camera around. There you go, folks. Look at that beautiful red cliff there. So this is that's the boundary between Preston and Hollicombe, and Hollicombe is again, it's another red sand beach, but it's beautiful. There's a few pebbles on it. It's beautiful. I'll show you in a sec.
The freezing corners and the empty streets, the burning passion and the cold wet feet. 3 tricky miles home every night, dodging from the shadows underneath those amber lights. No car for kissing and nowhere to go, except inside each other, and I loved you so. I held your face as you shivered in the rain. Girl, I'll always love you and I'll love you again. Oh, every time.
This is Hollicombe Beach. Hollicombe Gasworks, I call it. It's one of the most beautiful beaches in the bay, I would say, but you can see there from the conditions, those aren't ideal conditions. There's a fair bit of chop coming in, and it's almost ferocious out there. The wind is coming in so harsh, but we got here because we went with the wind, and I had a lovely swim, which I kind of was forced into, but I'm glad I went in there. Time to walk back now to Paignton. Whew. It's taking ages. Better get on with it.
Every time that cold wind blows, every time I hear the sound, late night train shining down by the river, I remember old windy town. Every time that cold wind blows, and every time I hear the sound, the East Coast crosswinds on the cold wet storm, I remember
So here I am, folks, nearly back to where I started. You'll be able to see on the map the route I've taken, but it has been a long way around, and it's crazy. I've seen so many things today, and you go out onto the sea and it's beautiful, and you get dunked under the water and it's beautiful, and the waves are coming in and all the seabirds are singing, and it's absolutely perfect. Then you come back up into the town and the fumes of the cars, people sitting on the benches coughing as they're smoking their cigarettes, and the kind of really bad architecture and the higgledy-piggledy way it's been put together. And you begin to contrast and think, wow, hang on Steve Dog, all the good stuff you're on about was out that nature did, and all the old rubbish was made by man. Whoa. And then there's some old woman who nearly runs over me and gives me a dirty look. Dear oh dear. I hope that you have the wind behind you this week. I'll catch you next time on the Steve Dog paddleboarding, schmaddleboarding flip side.